The US ambassador to South Africa, Reuben Brigety, announced in November that his resignation would be effective this Friday, January 10th. His departure aligns with the customary transition of ambassadors during a change in presidential administrations. Donald Trump was re-elected as US president in November, succeeding Joe Biden, who had appointed Brigety as ambassador to Pretoria. Brigetty's exit has been widely celebrated by many South Africans, including prominent political figures, as his tenure was marked by one of the country's most contentious diplomatic incidents in recent years.
We are confident that weapons were loaded onto that vessel, and I would bet my life on the accuracy of that assertion.
The controversy stems from Brigetty's accusation that South Africa supplied weapons to Russia despite claiming neutrality in the ongoing war in Ukraine. He alleged that a Russian cargo ship, the Lady R, was loaded with arms and ammunition at Cape Town in December 2022. At a media briefing, Brigetty expressed Washington's concerns over South Africa's professed non-aligned stance, citing what he described as credible evidence of the shipment. Brigetty pointed to the Lady R's docking at Simonstown Naval Base between December 6th and 8th, claiming he was confident the ship was loaded with weapons destined for Russia. His remarks raised alarm and sparked significant diplomatic tensions, catching South African officials off guard. South Africa's government strongly rejected the allegations, criticizing Brigetty for not addressing the issue through appropriate diplomatic channels. Officials demanded evidence to support the claims, which the US has yet to provide. While Brigetty stands by his accusations, they remain unsubstantiated, leaving South African authorities deeply dissatisfied with the handling of the matter. President Cyril Ramaphosa's office expressed disappointment over the US ambassador's claims, emphasizing that no evidence had been presented to substantiate them. The US has consistently voiced its intention to confront any nation it perceives as supporting Russia's illegal and brutal war in Ukraine. This is not the first instance of the US pressuring countries that remain neutral or silent during conflicts it is actively funding or involved in. However, the expectation that the US can impose its will on a nation like South Africa, one that overcame an oppressive regime through its own resilience, has been met with skepticism. In response to the allegations, the South African government announced the formation of an independent inquiry led by a retired judge. Ramaphosa called on opposition parties to allow the inquiry to run its course, addressing criticism from the DA and other conservative factions. The US has long been critical of South Africa's warm relations with Russia. Washington raised concerns about South Africa's participation in joint naval exercises with Russia and China, held over 10 days in February 2023. The timing of these drills, coinciding with the one-year anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, drew criticism from opposition parties, who interpreted it as tacit support for Russia. South African authorities denied that the exercises were provocatively scheduled, highlighting that the country routinely conducts similar drills with various nations, including France and the US. South Africa has also abstained from UN votes condemning the invasion and refused to impose sanctions on Russia, aligning with its neutral stance. Experts have suggested that, if true, Brigetty's allegations could undermine South Africa's neutrality claims and potentially paint the nation as complicit in Russia's actions in Ukraine. These accusations risk straining South Africa's ties with the US, a key trade partner, while also highlighting its complex historical relationship with Russia. South Africa's bond with Russia dates back to the Soviet era when the USSR supported the ANC's struggle against apartheid. This enduring relationship has occasionally caused diplomatic friction with Western allies. For instance, in 2023, South Africa faced international scrutiny when Russian President Vladimir Putin was set to attend the BRICS summit despite an ICC arrest warrant. After initially suggesting South Africa would leave the ICC, Ramaphosa's administration reversed its position, calling the announcement a communications error. Ultimately, Putin opted for virtual attendance, avoiding direct conflict. Brigetty's claims have fueled concerns that South Africa may be seen as a soft ally of Russia, undermining its non-aligned stance at a time when Western nations regard Russia as an aggressor and violator of human rights. This perception adds to the diplomatic challenges facing South Africa, balancing its historical ties with Russia and its economic relationships with the West. Ramaphosa later announced that an independent inquiry found no evidence to support allegations that South Africa supplied weapons to Russia. The investigation revealed that South African officials were unaware a sanctioned Russian ship was assigned to deliver military equipment to the country until it approached national waters. The inquiry concluded that the Russian cargo vessel had instead delivered armaments ordered by the SA National Defense Force in 2018. Ramaphosa emphasized that interviews with 50 individuals and a review of over 100 documents provided no evidence of arms being exported from South Africa. He acknowledged the severe damage the allegations had caused to the country's currency, economy, and international reputation, expressing regret over the tarnishing of South Africa's global image. While a summary of the inquiry's findings was released publicly, Ramaphosa stated that the full report would remain classified. Disclosing details of the offloaded equipment, he argued, could compromise sensitive military operations and endanger soldiers' lives. Questions lingered over the specifics of the arms shipment, particularly whether the equipment was sourced from a state-owned arms manufacturer or a private weapons company within South Africa. Historically, the country has been a significant player in the arms trade, exporting weapons across the continent, though the current scale of its arms industry remains unclear. Brigetty later apologized for his remarks, acknowledging on social media his gratitude for the opportunity to correct any misimpressions caused by his statements. However, he reaffirmed his claims in a subsequent interview, maintaining his stance despite the inquiry's findings. The controversy sparked a diplomatic fallout, with South Africa pursuing formal recourse through established channels. ANC Secretary-General openly questioned why Brigetty remained in the country after allegedly lying about South Africa. The incident highlighted ongoing tensions between the two nations and underscored the delicate balance of South Africa's diplomatic relationships on the global stage. The ambassador told the publication, "When I was convoked by the foreign minister, I apologized fully and unreservedly for speaking out of turn. My statement stands as it is. In following my statement, the President of the US and the Secretary of State expressed their full confidence in my tenure." The controversy surrounding Brigetty's allegations has drawn comparisons to the US's past claims of weapons of mass destruction in Iraq.
Weapons of mass destruction.
A falsehood that precipitated the invasion of Iraq 2 decades ago. That conflict resulted in the deaths of over 1 million Iraqis and left a legacy of destruction, all stemming from unfounded accusations. It is therefore disappointing that the South African government did not take stronger measures to hold accountable those who propagated Brigetty's claims, nor did it reprimand media outlets that echoed those accusations without proper investigation. Such decisive action could have sent a clear message against the dangerous consequences of baseless allegations. History has shown how the US's unfounded justifications for war crimes have had devastating ripple effects. In Iraq, sectarianism remains entrenched, the economy is fragile, poverty is widespread, basic services are unreliable, and security remains precarious in many regions. These outcomes serve as a grim reminder of how lies at the diplomatic level can destabilize entire nations. Brigetty's actions are seen by many as following a familiar pattern in American foreign policy, creating diplomatic turmoil, undermining governments, and laying the groundwork for illegal interventions. Such behavior has repeatedly eroded the principles of international law and emboldened other nations to flout those same rules, perpetuating cycles of impunity. This is why malicious diplomatic falsehoods must be met with firm consequences. Brigetty's resignation is celebrated in South Africa as a necessary step toward restoring the country's dignity and standing in the face of unfounded accusations. It serves as a reminder that truth and accountability should underpin international relations, and that nations, regardless of their power, must be held to the same standards.